All right, and welcome back to the AM Drive here on this Monday, recapping the divisional round. And we are presented by Fanatics. It's very simple. If you want the best in sports merchandise delivered right to your door with daily deals, every team and every league, you got to go to MikeandAaronDrive.com and do what, Mike?
Click VF.
Click the F. And when you do, you can get shopping. It helps out the channel, it helps out the program. We greatly appreciate it. And we can obviously bring you great insight with great guests like our newest 12-ounce sports writer, Sammy Action. Sammy, happy to have you aboard. It looks like with your chair right there, you look like one of those old school linebackers with the
I
neck
was gonna
plates.
say,
I'm trying to be Aaron Donald recreated.
Nice, nice,
Go
nice.
Rams.
That's a hard thing to do. Yeah, go Rams. Listen to this guy. Oh, that's all the time we have.
ah,
Thanks, Sammy. Well,
oh
you know
no,
what? We kind of let's get right into it here with you. We kind of talked about it here on the other side of the break. We just our early thoughts and early reactions. If you could just sum up the divisional weekend in a word or a short sentence, what would you say to this?
Spectacular. Greatest weekend ever.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. I think that's a good way to do it. Mike, I mean, I know that Mike's salivating. Brady went down. The Brady fatigue. There's a lot of people on my social media timelines that are just, they're done with Brady, and I can respect that. I mean, if it's not your quarterback, you want to see something else, I can respect that. But I know that you have some respect for Brady.
Yeah, he
Much
does.
so. Probably the greatest I've ever seen. Despite everybody calling Aaron Rodgers the best, I'm still in the Brady camp, and after this weekend, I don't think it really changed anything.
Fair enough. All right, we're going to get to those two in just a second, but we're going to start with the fireworks at the end, just like Disney World or Disneyland. The Chiefs and the Bills. The Chiefs, yeah, that's a good way to put it there, Mike. Good graphics. Chiefs survived the Bills. 42-36 here. Allen and Mahomes was just one of the battles for the ages. I don't remember in the last few years seeing something like this. Maybe Brady and Mahomes a couple years back in this
Mm.
same similar scenario, except for it was in the championship game. But initial thoughts on this game when you were watching it. It was kind of a ho hum back and forth, but then it was like a switch was flipped.
It's some of the best quarterback play I've ever seen, for sure. I absolutely enjoy every minute of it. I couldn't help but wonder if they were going to squib kick at the end of that game to take a couple seconds off the clock. And the first thing that came to mind to me was the Music City Miracle. And I'm wondering, do these guys remember the Music City Miracle? Or are they going to squib and give them a chance with Tyreek Hill or whoever was in the backfield? They kick it out of the back of the end zone. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, Mahomes still has 2 plays. That's more than enough for that guy. And what an amazing, absolutely spectacular ending.
But let's be honest, 13 seconds. Did you really think something was going to happen? Did you? I mean, what were you think the chances of Mahomes getting 45 yards on the number one defense in the NFL throughout the season? I didn't see it happening, but he continues to amaze me.
When they first kicked off, obviously it's slim to none. After the first completion, you could see Buffalo's defense was pretty gassed.
Right.
I just couldn't help but think that after the first completion, they were going to get the second completion.
So I want to say that Josh Allen's family certainly thought it was over. I don't know if you saw them hugging and just crying. They thought that was the best thing that's ever happened. My son, the son of God, Patrick Mahomes, took the field next. It was just sensational, man. Sammy, you mentioned the two best quarterbacks, well, some of the best quarterback play you've seen. Do you think these guys? I mean, I think it's very logical to say they're the next Brady Manning, and it's like Brady Manning on steroids. Like these guys are electric.
Yeah, I've seen that comparison multiple places, and I couldn't agree more. I think the AFC goes through Kansas City for the next foreseeable future, but Josh Allen will get his chance, just like Manning got his against Brady over the years. These two guys are both amazing and dynamic, and it will be a back and forth for us fans, at least for the next few years, to enjoy until one of them pulls forward even a little bit more. But for right now, it's Mahomes' conference, and he's earned it. But Allen is right there, and they're right there. They're right behind him.
I think Herbert and Burrow might be tier two, and that's a pretty sexy tier two. I mean,
Yeah.
these two guys, I don't know. I just don't think Herbert and Burrow are on their
A
level,
lot
so I
of
agree
lot
with
of
you with
young
that.
talent in the AFC there
Oh
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget Lamar Jackson. I mean, he may still be a thing. We'll find out next year for sure. All right, let's move into the Packers and 49ers, and there's just sheer disappointment for Packers fans, except for one I know who just said he saw it coming. I don't know. You know who I'm talking about, Sammy, but
Oh yeah.
um, you know, For me, we know the score, we know all the drama that happened, and there were some Rodgers defenders, but for me, in a legacy term, you can't lose a game where the other team doesn't score an offensive touchdown. You can't.
So
If
true.
you're one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, you cannot lose a home game when the other team doesn't score an offensive touchdown.
100%. People want to talk about the special teams and the defense, and Aaron Rodgers fans have been saying for years, well, Brady always had a top 10 defense. Well, this game, you held your opponent to 3 offensive points, and now everybody's saying, well, Brady never made all these mistakes on special teams. In the end, Aaron Rodgers had the ball with 4 minutes and 36 seconds on the clock and 2 timeouts, needing a field goal to win, and he went 3 and out.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, he cannot be the greatest of all time if you can't win this type of home game in the playoffs.
And I agree, because if the Tuck rule and Adam Vinatieri were on his side, he would have won, because we saw a similar Blizzard type game, just for Brady fans who want to bring that up.
But
And I would have the Tuck
Brady
rule
got
and
it.
Vinatieri.
Brady got his team into field goal range. Aaron Rodgers did not.
Well, Aaron Rodgers did, because Mason Crosby
Well, the
missed.
blocked field goal, those things happen. But I'm just saying, he's right. Sammy's right. 4 minutes left. You want to, this is a legacy game. You may or may not be back in Green Bay next year. What do you think? Actually, the one thing I was curious about, what do you think about the fact that the Lambeau home field advantage doesn't seem to matter? I mean, remember in the Brett Favre days, and you go to Lambeau, you were done. You just weren't winning. Now that just doesn't seem like the case anymore.
Well, since COVID, home field advantage has been a thing of the past. If you look at the stats since the COVID year of 2020, home field advantage has really changed over the course of the last few years. One more point I want to make about Brady Rodgers real quick is, as soon as Brady got the ball back at the end of that game, there was nobody watching who didn't think they were going to score to tie the game at the end of that game. And that's the difference. As soon as Brady touches the ball with a chance to get down the field, he's going to drive the field. Aaron touches the ball, and unfortunately, I'm not so sure they're going to get in the field goal
50-50. Yeah, that was fair. I thought the Packers really abandoned. I mean, we talked about Aaron Rodgers, but I really thought the Packers abandoned the run. Like you said, the blizzard starts coming down. It seemed like, even though it wasn't really successful for San Francisco, they still had a commitment to the run, and maybe that was just more taking Garoppolo away from the plays here. But I was surprised with those 2 horses in Jones and Dillon that there was not more running for the Packers in this game.
Well, Dillon got hurt. He did not return. I don't think he played after the second quarter.
They brought in Patrick, whoever it was, but it just didn't seem like it. Yeah, fair.
Absolutely. They abandoned the run. Aaron Jones caught, I think, 9 or 10 passes in the game. He was very involved in the offense, but they were not even trying to wear down San Francisco's pass rush with a run game or any sort of. They were just dropping Aaron Rodgers back with the same old plays they've been running for the last 6 years, right. And San Francisco was eating them up every play. They were on top of them almost every single play.
It sounds like Kyle Shanahan got the best of Matt LaFleur again.
Does seem that way, yes.
Fair point. You want to move on to Rams Buccaneers?
Yeah, I know you. I know you do. So,
Sammy,
go ahead.
I know on one side, you're praising Brady, but on the other side, what a throw by Matthew Stafford at the end of that game.
Yeah, one of his signature moment that he's been seeking his whole career. I mean, being stuck in Detroit for all those years, never having the opportunity to have a good head coach, to be in a position to win big playoff games. They give up a lead late. Brady brings them back from the dead, and Stafford has to make a play. And even the throw before that to Cooper Kupp that got them 15 yards down the field was also right on the money. The moment wasn't too big for him, and he was able to deliver, and I'm really happy for him and for Cooper Kupp and all those guys. I'm really rooting for them going forward, although my house will be a house divided. My wife's from San Francisco.
Now, with this game, obviously, Mike and I, you and I talked about this, the Rams have to win this game. Otherwise, they did all that work to get Stafford to get to the same spot as Goff got him last year. But, I think the pressure's back on again. I mean, are there really a lot of people believing San Francisco can do it again? I mean, I know they've beaten LA, but LA is the favorite. LA should be going to the Super Bowl here, and it's in their home stadium. The pressure's back on Stafford and McVay. Is it another one of those disastrous L's if it happens this week?
I'm sorry, were you asking me?
Yeah.
I think the pressure is always on in the playoffs. I don't think there's ever a non-pressure situation for any of these teams or any of these quarterbacks or any of these coaches. I think, San Francisco's had their number. They've beaten them up over the last, not just this year, but in years past as well. So they got to slay that demon, whether it be to go to the Super Bowl or not. They have to beat San Francisco at some point to
Right.
prove they're going to move forward with this type of team, going into the future. This is the best week they have a chance to do it. They've been favored in all 3 games this year. They've lost the first 2, and it's hard to be a team 3 times. I think San Francisco will show up. They will play well. I think you'll see a much better Jimmy Garoppolo, but the Rams are more talented, so we'll see how that ends up.
What do you expect? Because it came out right before the game that regardless of the outcome, Brady will mull his future in the offseason. Well, now it's the offseason. What do you expect from Tom Brady? The contract's up in Tampa.
I think he comes back for one more year. I think the competitive drive in him has always stayed strong. He always said he would play until he wasn't able to play, and he put up MVP numbers this year. And I think a guy like Brady deserves the going out tour. I think he deserves to go from stadium to stadium and get the thank yous and the wave goodbyes and standing ovations from the multiple crowds. And I hope he does come back one more year. I don't know that he'll be better than he was this year, but it wouldn't be bad to see him at least one more time. Out on the field, at least throwing a few more touchdowns. He ended his career, if he does, on a touchdown pass or on a touchdown drive to tie the game. So it's not a bad way to go out, but I think he'd like to do better.
Do you think it's with Tampa, or do you think that he moves on?
I think it's probably with Tampa. I don't foresee him wanting to restart a new offense with new people. He's got a really good dynamic there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think what Simeon just said is actually a great point, because I've said he shouldn't do it for his own body because he's 44 and looks every bit of it. But in the end, though,
I hope I look that good at 44. Jeez.
No, you look good right now. You're fine. But I do believe though, Brady should see should be able to visit other fans, like you said, like a farewell tour. I think that's a good point.
Whoa, you okay with that? Would you go to a game and cheer Tom Brady? I was going to say, there's no way you're cheering for this guy.
I might throw spit at him if I can't throw anything at him.
Nah, you won't have good enough seats.
I know. Right.
All right, Sammy, let's talk about the last game, which in the grand scheme of things almost seemed boring, in this wild divisional weekend. But I think it was anything but. Titans and Bengals. Titans got beat at home, another number 1 seed down by the Chicago Bengals, by the Cincinnati Bengals. And Joey Burrow, the legend, is growing as well. We talked about it with, Allen and Mahomes, but let's not forget about this guy. PFF, Mike's favorite website, has him ranked at the top in a lot of the major categories here. And, he was the better quarterback against Tannehill, although that's low-hanging fruit. That's not hard to do.
Right.
But, I mean, if you could take – what was your takeaway with this? The home team, a lot of people thought they were frauds and couldn't wait for them to fall in the playoffs, and they did. In the divisional round, no wins. And now Mike Vrabel – according to Mike, now Mike Vrabel's on the hot seat.
Well, I don't think Mike Vrabel should be on the hot seat. He's done a pretty good job with that talent. And Burrow was the better quarterback of the two. There was no question about it. But Cincinnati left a lot of points on the board in that game, giving up having field goal opportunities time and time again. The Kicker did go 4 for 4, but they won't be able to win in Kansas City kicking field goals, at least not the way they did last week. But I will give a shout out to Andrew Siciliano, who had predicted this was going to be the AFC Championship game back when these two teams played a few weeks ago, and I laughed at him. He's the guy from the Red Zone Network, and he's fantastic. But I laughed at him, and he was dead on. These were the two best teams probably in the AFC, and most people did have Cincinnati winning this game. This was the one where everybody was like, I'm taking the points, I'm taking them on the money line, and that one was right on the money. They were the better team this whole game.
Is Siciliano the short guy that Pat McAfee show was harping on about? With the big ears?
I'm not sure. Really big ears.
Yeah. NFL Network guy that interviews people all the time.
Yeah. Signature ears.
Yeah. Yes, he's a short guy, though, I know.
Well, not to take anything away from Siciliano, but 2 weeks ago I predicted this as well.
You did? Okay. Okay.
Hey, Siciliano did it better after the rematch here. So, all right, as we got a couple of minutes, actually about a minute and a half here, Sammy, we have Cincinnati at Kansas City. We have San Francisco and LA. Who are our Super Bowl representatives after next Sunday's games?
My early predictions show it's going to be the Rams. Obviously, I'm wearing a Rams jersey, so I have a little bit of a bias. My wife will probably kill me. But I do think that the talent does win out over time. And as they've gone forward, I do think they've gotten better, whereas San Francisco's gotten slightly worse as time has gone through. Cam Akers being back despite his 2 fumbles is a big boon for them in the run game, and their defense has just looked a little bit healthier in the recent weeks. Now, if San Francisco can find a way to get Debo involved and run the ball and pound them on the offensive line, of course they can beat them. They've shown they can, but I'm going Rams in that game. I actually think that Cincinnati will play a much tougher game against Kansas City than people are saying. They're huge dogs in this game. I don't think it will be the shootout we saw last week, and I don't think it will be a 1-score game, but I do think Cincinnati will hang tough with them. In the end, I do think you'll see Matthew Stafford versus Patrick Mahomes in what will probably be the third best option of quarterback matchups for our Super Bowl.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I like it. Sammy,
Right.
I want to ask Sammy a question too. I don't know if anyone's going to ask you this, but you're our newest sports writer. I want to ask you, like, what you got in the works here and all kind of stuff.
I'm looking forward to writing an article in the offseason about all the quarterback changes. I spend a lot of time watching quarterback play, and as many of you know, I've been very hard on Baker Mayfield this year. I have a lot of predictions I'm hoping come true on some quarterback movement in the future. You know, maybe Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh, maybe Baker Mayfield getting cut and finding himself maybe in a place like Tennessee. There's a few I have in the works that I think could happen, but obviously this is all just conjecture on my part. But it's one of my passions is enjoyment is writing about these quarterbacks and writing their possible future outcomes.
Sammy, on behalf of Aaron and on behalf of the AM Drive and Swan Sports in general, thank you for showing up this morning. I'm pretty sure it's early over there. You're in Aaron's kind of time zone.
Yep, 7:30.
Well, good morning to you, and enjoy the rest of your morning and your week. Thanks again. Thanks, Aaron, for having this guy on. Sammy Action, the action figure.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks, Sammy. We'll